Well, hey, thanks so much for checking out this video and this podcast. This is a podcast a little bit about who we are as a church. If you've not heard, you're not familiar with us, Blacksburg Church just got started here in the last few weeks, and we wanted to have a way to cast some vision for what this church looks like and maybe share a little bit with you about who we are and what direction we're going in, and introduce you to some people along the way. And so today I've got with me Brandon, and Brandon is one of our house church pastors. He's doing a great job. And Brandon, why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
All right. And thank you. Name's Brandon. I grew up just outside of Richmond in Chesterfield County, came out here to Virginia Tech, to Blacksburg for college, studied nanoscience and biochemistry, not your typical avenues of study to begin with, let alone for what I do now. Because what I do now is actually, I work for a college ministry, a campus ministry called CCVT, spelled out Christ Church of Virginia Tech, which I love. It's an amazing opportunity that I get to do to serve just alongside some fellow campus ministers and to serve the students here at Virginia Tech. I am married to my wonderful wife, Brittany, and we have a 9-month-old son, Declan. It's just been an awesome opportunity to both come to the area and settle down and get involved in ministry, and then now to get to be involved with the church here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell even just briefly, how did you end up studying what you studied, and then now you're in ministry?
Yeah.
Because I don't think most people in ministry have the degree you have.
No,
I don't know anyone else. So
it's a little bit peculiar.
Yeah.
So when I came to college, I actually thought I was going to study engineering. Threw that out the window real quick. Had to pivot, looking for a degree, for a pursuit to study, and ended up on biochemistry and nanoscience, mostly because they sounded really interesting. They sounded kind of futuristic, superhero-y. But then what I realized very quickly, especially towards the end of college, was it just wasn't, I found it interesting, but it wasn't my passion. And towards the end of college, I actually began to realize that I had never gotten involved in the campus ministry. I had never found a church here to really dig in and have roots at. And I wasn't really growing in my faith. I had grown up with, going to church every Sunday, doing youth group, all the things. But when I had come here to college, it just fell by the wayside. And as I got towards my end of my college journey, what I realized was I was going to have to take an extra year, and all my friends graduated. I realized very quickly I had no community. I had nothing to stand on, and I didn't even really like where my life was going, job opportunities, where was I going to end up? I had so many questions and was kind of listless. And kind of had a God moment where someone had given me the number of one of the campus ministers who I still work with today, Mike Stoller, and just told me one day driving home from work that I needed to call him. And that kind of started the ball rolling. I started to get involved. I found community. I started growing again in my faith. And next thing you know, I'm helping all the time. Then I'm the intern, and then I'm full-time. And that was, 7 years ago now that I've been doing this, almost 8, and I love it. Wouldn't be doing anything else.
That's incredible. Well, part of what we're going to be talking about today is ministry partners. And for us, ministry partners are ministries locally and globally that are already doing incredible things, gospel-centered. They're meeting needs in Jesus' name. And as we were thinking about, and we want to talk about what these are, Brandon's most natural fit as CCVT is one of those ministry partners that we currently have. And so for us, ministry partners, again, it's gospel-centered ministries that already exist that are meeting needs in Jesus' name. Reason for that is we just felt like rather than trying to start a bunch of new ministries that meet needs, why don't we just jump into what's already working? Like there's already great things happening here and other places around the world. Why not? Why start new things? Let's just jump in. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about CCVT and then some of our other current ministry partners that we already have?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's my day job, CCVT, and I love it. We are a college ministry, so we serve college students on the campus. We actually have the wonderful opportunity of having actually a house right on the corner of campus. We do Thursday night worships, which is when we just gather in that house to share a meal together, break bread, but also to worship and to listen to a message. We have Bible studies all throughout the week, and we encourage our students to be involved in the local church. So we make sure they have opportunities to carpool on Sundays. We have retreats throughout the year. And really our goal is just to be there for them, to show up, to sit across the table from them with coffee or a meal, and to help guide them through the kind of crazy time that college can be. And I know personally that's why I got involved in the ministry, because that's what I had needed and that's what I found. And so I want to kind of turn around and do the same. When it comes to CCVT as a ministry partner, it's actually been amazing to already watch how that's worked out.
Yeah.
We have students that come every Sunday to church. We have students who are involved in house churches, and to see them get to connect both with just the community as a whole, but also to branch outside of that like college sphere. It's very easy to kind of get insulated there on the campus. And so to see them actually getting involved with people from different generations who are living here in the community full time has been incredible. And I'm really looking forward to how we'll continue to get to partner, and like the community will get to show up for the college students and the college students will get to show up for the communities.
Well, it's cool. I've been on a Thursday night before, and you all jam them into that living room.
Yeah.
While the house is a good size house.
It's a good size house, but we have
impressive.
a lot of students.
Yeah, it's impressive that you jam them all in there.
Yes.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and tell us about some of the other ministry partners we have.
Yeah. So one of the other things I've gotten to do since settling down here in Blacksburg is get involved with one of our other ministry partners, which is BRCC, Blue Ridge Christian Camp. So that is run by the wonderful Breeden family, and they are a Christian summer camp right around the corner from us. They have been doing that for a long, long time. The Breedens have been there, I think, for around 10 years. So they run summer camps through from, I think, even before school all the way through just graduated through high school. But also the campgrounds are open all year round for retreat reservations and family reunions and a multitude of things like that. But what I really love about BRCC is that they're not just a campground. They're not just a Christian camp. That family pours into people all across this community. It is a place and a home of, like for rest and for retreat. And they just serve the kids so well. I've had the opportunity to be involved as a dean, also as a counselor, and my wife actually works for them now in the office. And so what they do for both students, kids, but also for the community as a whole and families is just incredible.
Yeah. And while I have not yet experienced the fullness of BRCC, I have experienced the Breedens, and they are fantastic.
Yes.
And I have been able to see some of the ways that the camp meets needs right here locally. I mean, it was part of a retreat for pastors and ministry leaders just last year, and that was great. But being able to see the way that it's working, and I can say from my personal experience, for me, church camp was one of those things where it was like, and so much of the reason that I'm where I am today and serving in ministry today is because of going to and being part of a church camp. It gave me one of the first opportunities to really serve and do ministry. And so I loved camp, and I've heard nothing but good things about BRCC, and am excited to continue that partnership with them this year, especially this summer. So
exciting.
Yeah. And then we have one other right now.
Yes. So we as a church are a Waypoint church plant. So Waypoint is a church planting organization, but they do so much more than that. I know personally they also are involved in pastoral care. They travel and they check in on people, and they just do have a lot of different facets of the ministry. And it's really interesting with each of the ministry partners. I find I somehow have a connection. Yeah. My pastor growing up, Neil Wheeler, has worked with Waypoint for a long time. So it's been really cool to get to see and connect with him through this experience. But I know they're a wonderful organization, but you may have more to say on that than I do. That's probably the one I'm least involved with.
No, yeah. Well, they are fantastic. Part of what they do is they plant new churches and partner with established churches and help strengthen and help them to be healthier. And there's lots of ways that they do that, but man, they are a fantastic ministry. We need more church planting. We need all churches to be healthier. And so it's part of why I believe in partnering with them in what they're doing. And so I'm thankful to them for, part of the reason, one of the main reasons that this church is able to exist is because God is using a ministry like Waypoint to identify and send people. And so I'm very thankful for them. They're fantastic, and excited for, again, whatever we can do with them in the future. And these are only the first three. Yeah. Our plan is not that we have these three and we never add any others. We're in conversations right now actively with two other ministries that are also meeting needs in our region, and excited to open that. We're not going to share those yet, but those are in the works. Yeah. And so I'm excited about those. But part of what our hope is as a church is that we spend not as much time trying to get everyone to serve and participate within the context of Blacksburg Church. Yes, we want everyone to serve in some way, exercising the spiritual gifts that God's given to them. But But as far as like serving on a team, we actually want everyone to identify a ministry partner and jump in and serve in some capacity alongside them. So we want you to be praying for them, and then we want you to be serving with them.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to this and you're part of Blacksburg Church already, think about those three that we just mentioned and identify one of those. Again, these are just the first three, but identify one and begin praying for them on a regular basis. Add them to what you're already praying for. And then we're going to share opportunities as they arise for you to jump in and actually be boots on the ground serving alongside them. And so be on the lookout listening for those. But that's our hope as we continue to add more ministry partners, that every person that would call Blacksburg Church home would have a ministry they're praying for and a ministry they're serving alongside. And so that's our hope that we get there in the future. We want everyone to have one of those. Any thoughts on that from you?
No, I don't think so. I think that's absolutely the way you should pursue like partnering with ministry within the church is like we are the avenue for connecting you with them, but that relationship should be outside of the church. It's not just donations. It's not just, we'll talk about them on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. Like we want you actually involved with them. So when those opportunities arise, we want to make sure we're presenting them to everybody and they're actually getting involved in the ones that they're most passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of why we call them partners is because we don't want to just send a check,
Absolutely.
We want to go beyond that. Again, boots on the ground, praying for them, not just have a prayer team that's praying for them, but every person have something that they're a ministry that they're praying for and partnering with in that way. And so we're excited about that. That kind of leads me. I know this is a little bit ahead of schedule from what we had planned on talking about, but I think it fits here. Yeah. Part of what we do as a church, I just mentioned, we don't want to just send a check. We also want to send resources to these ministry partners. And so part of what we have decided to do and committed to early on when we began this process was that the first 10% of everything that comes into Blacksburg Church, that's given to Blacksburg Church, is going right back out the door to help support other ministries locally and globally, again, that are meeting needs in Jesus' name. And man, that excites me because it does allow us to participate in a really cool way. And so I don't want to say we don't want to send a check. We want to do both. Like both of these things are important. And I know for you guys as CCVT, there's a lot that you wouldn't be able to do if there weren't people 100%. Giving and helping make these things happen. I mean, even from a time perspective, I know that you're able to work alongside these students. I mean, you're in and out with students this morning before we recorded.
Yes, right before this.
You were having breakfast with students, right? Like those things are only possible because there is resources provided to make that happen. And so this is important. And one of the cool things one of the ways that I look at the local church is the local church that we're part of and any of us are part of sort of acts like it's like a mutual fund that we all give to. And then out of that, there are lots of things, amazing things that happen, and that money is then invested into the kingdom. Yeah. Not in the same way that a mutual fund, that when we have all these returns, financial returns, but it is an investment in other ministries that are beyond us. And again, this is the first 10% of everything that comes into Blacksburg Church. But we also don't stop at that first 10%. Part of what we've also done is dedicated the first 10% and then an additional 10% on top of that. That goes back out the door for helping plant more churches. Yeah. Because one, we're a church plant that exists today and has been funded by other established churches that said, we're going to go first in practicing generosity and help make sure that God's kingdom is continuing to grow, that there's more churches available. And we want to do the exact same thing. And so again, the first 10% goes to missions, ministries that are meeting needs in Jesus' name. But we also have an additional 10% that's just for church planting. And so we want to go first in practicing radical generosity in that way. And so that excites me. But I want us to move on into a little bit about how we select ministry partners and also how someone else may pick which ministry partner they want to be praying for and partnering with. And so any thoughts initially on either of those that you want to kick us off with?
Yeah. Well, for the church as a whole, I think what you were just saying, it reminded me of the fact that right now, when you look around on a Sunday morning, our ministry partners are reflected in our congregation. So when you look around, you see college students. When you look around, you see kids who are like camp age kids, and we ourselves are a church plant. So when someone is generous enough to tithe, to give a donation, they can look back at the room and see where their money's going to go. Yeah. It's not a matter of it's going somewhere. We'll talk about that later. It's right there, and they can see how their generosity is going to be applied in the community as at large. Yeah. So I just love that to start with. That like it's so visible just from the get go.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think both from the community aspect, like church as a whole, but also individuals, I think one of the most important things is finding something that you're passionate about. So just taking our 3 ministry partners to start with, if you yourself are a parent and you love to be involved with your kids and with other people's and leading it, and you have that kind heart that works well with students, BRCC would be a great place to try to get involved. Yeah. But maybe if that's not you, maybe you love to cook meals for people. Maybe you love to sit across the table and drink coffee and talk about Jesus. Hey, we would love to talk to you at CCVT because that's what we do all day long. So really just embracing the gifts that God has already given you and the passions that he has given you and using those to help you select a ministry partner because how much easier is it when you already have an inclination for something than trying to force something that's not natural for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think one of the best ways is you take your passions. And the second thing I think you have to identify is what things break your heart that also break God's.
Yeah.
We're going to continue adding ministry partners, but I'll just use me as an example of this. For me, one of the things that breaks my heart is a struggling church. Like when I see a church that is struggling or in decline, there's not much that breaks my heart more than that. Now, and someone else may be listening to this and be like, that doesn't bother me at all. And I think there are different things that break our hearts. But again, where do our passions and the things that break our heart and God's cross? And that's a great place for us to begin. That's probably the place where we need to be praying for, where we need to get involved. And so for you guys, as you're thinking about which ministry partner do I want to partner with? Do I want to be praying for? Where is it that your passions and your heart break? Where do those two things collide? And then I would say that's the place to begin. And if you have questions about any of our ministry partners, you can go to our website. You can access their websites from there. We're not going to list all of their websites, but you can go to ours, click on ministry partnerships, and those are all listed right there. If you have any questions, feel free. You can ask me, ask Brandon, ask John, any of us about our ministry partners. We'll be able to answer some questions. And if we don't have an answer to a question, we'll say we don't know, and we'll direct you to someone who does. But again, my encouragement and my hope is that every person who calls Blacksburg Church home eventually has a ministry partner that they are all in on, that they're praying for, that they're serving alongside of, and that through their generosity in the church, that they can know that this other ministry is being taken care of in a really cool way. And so I'm excited about it. Again, we're going to be adding some more ministry partners in the future. If there's a ministry that we don't know about, and there likely are, whether that be local or global, that are meeting needs in Jesus' name, let us know. Like I would love to learn more about them. For us, we're on the hunt right now to add more ministry partners to that list. And so if there's a specific ministry that comes to mind for you that you want us to investigate, look into, and consider adding as a partner, reach out, let us know, and we'd love to consider them. So anything else you want to add today on this topic of ministry partnerships?
I mean, really, I felt like you've already said it, but I just want to hit it home, is that's the only other thing that I feel like is so important for selecting a ministry partner, is that they are filling a need in the community and sharing the gospel while they do it. Yeah. And all 3 of the ministry partners we currently have do that so well, and the ones that we're looking for will hopefully do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. One of the last thing I want to share, and it's more of a reminder, and it's that in this church that we're planting, some of you have heard this already. If you haven't, what we would call ourselves is a church of house churches. And what that means is that we're a church that is made up of house churches, many different house churches that all are connected together through a common identity, mission, and oversight. And so we all gather on Sunday mornings together as one church in one place under one roof. But then we meet throughout the week in what we call house churches that are led by qualified, trained house church pastors like Brandon. And but there's a third element to this, and it is ministry partners. And so Sunday gatherings, house church, and ministry partners are the 3 primary elements that we want to lean into. I'm encouraging you as a person, if you're part of this church, identify a ministry partner and jump in. 3 things. gather with us on Sundays, be part of a house church, and then identify a ministry partner that you can jump in with, that you can be praying for, that you can serve alongside. I think that there's some really cool things that can happen when we simplify the church and focus on just a few things. And so we're going to simplify down. We have 3 things, and we want you to focus on those 3 things. And so my challenge to you, again, identify one, begin praying for them, and find ways to serve alongside them. So, Brandon, thank you for having the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you guys will see Brandon more in the future, I'm sure. As we record more and have more conversations about who we are as a church, but also just, you know, these first few are about who we are as a church. We're going to move beyond that into just talking about life and talking about following Jesus. And so we've got plans for a lot more to come. And so if you aren't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. That's where you can find this. That's where you can listen. We'll add some other platforms in the future, but for right now, subscribe on YouTube. And you can follow along and see the last one. If you didn't listen to the first episode that talks a little bit about how we got here to Blacksburg and some of the story of this church, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that one. You can find out a little bit more about how we got to where we are today. But God's doing some really cool things. If you don't have a church and you're in the area, I would love to have you come and be part of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
You can check out our website, theblacksburgchurch.com. You can schedule a time to be our guest on a Sunday morning. We'd love to have you do that. If you want to come and be part of it and check out a house church, there's 2 right now happening. Check those out. You can also do that on our website as well. So anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All
I
right.
think you said it wonderfully.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you the next time.
See you next one.